it's not necessarily about how big the budgets are, it's about how great the ideas are.
Hey, I'm JK, and this is ThinkLA's Quick Takes presented by PopShorts. Today I'm sitting with Aaron Walton, a CEO, a fashion model. The list kind of goes on. Aaron, you want to talk about how you got started in this industry?
Sure. I actually started my career on the brand side. So right after graduated from Babson College in 1983, I went to work at Pepsi. It was an exciting time at Pepsi. It was the Cola Wars. And I started my career actually as an analyst, a research analyst. And loved that job because it was really about telling stories, but using data. And then they ultimately moved me on to the Mountain Dew brand group and then onto the Pepsi brand group. And at the time, Pepsi was really, particularly Roger Enrico, who was the president at the time, was really looking for ways in which he could use the entertainment industry to help elevate the consumer experience and the interaction with the Pepsi brand. And so they wanted someone to help shepherd that effort. And they ended up moving me to Los Angeles, and I stayed out here, loved it, fell in love with LA, fell in love with that part of the Pepsi business, and ultimately left Pepsi and then started my own agency. Pepsi came on as a client, which was a nice way to start a business. Sure. And just kind of built the business from there. Sold my first company to Omnicom, and after that, after I finished my earn-out and all of that sort of stuff, I decided I wanted to start this new business, and so this new agency, and we've been doing it now for 15 years, and it's been great.
Yeah, it's awesome. I think there's a lot of kind of rich history there, and there's one thing you mentioned that I really want to touch on, which is the Cola Wars.
Sure.
Because in 2020, we're looking at the streaming wars, right?
Right.
We have Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, new emerging platforms like HBO
Sure.
Max and others. What kind of similarities or comparisons can you draw between the Cola Wars of the 80s and the streaming wars of now?
Yeah, great question. I think when I look at and I think about the kind of similarities that existed between the Cola Wars and the streaming, I think one of the things that the Cola Wars did for us, not just for Pepsi, but for the industry, for Coke and for all the beverage companies that were kind of participating at the time, it really elevated the game. It energized the system, the competition of kind of going out and trying to either invent new products or new ways to kind of deliver those products to consumers.
Sure.
It was great, and it was one of those things where every day something new was happening. And I think when I look at the streaming services and I look at how all of these new streaming services are coming out, a big part of their success is going to be the content they create, and you get great content by really pushing yourself. And sometimes the competition helps provide that impetus for really kind of digging deep and really going out and looking for unique ways to deliver the content. And so I think it's that sense of competition, that sense of we're going to win and we want to do everything we can to bring innovation to our respective industries, is the similarities that exist between the two.
What I think is great is that, and you kind of hit the nail on the head there in your last answer, but a lot of this streaming wars is coming out of LA, right? With the accounts that we have and the talent we have. What is some advice you might give to these individuals who are taking part in this advertising battle right now, based on your experience?
Here's the advice that I would give folks that are kind of entering in this space or want to get in this space. At the end of the day, it's not necessarily about how big the budgets are, it's about how great the ideas are. And it really is about innovation. It is about how do we come up and identify a new way of looking at some of the same challenges. And so, the advice that I give my staff all the time is to forget about the budget for a moment, think about the client objective, and just throw it out there. No idea is a bad idea, quite frankly. I mean, you got to go through that process to really kind of dig through it. And the great thing about LA is that there are so many, opportunities to tap into all of these different companies that are out here that really do thrive and help drive the engine, the innovation engine for, the content that we see. So I would say stop focusing just on the budgets, start focusing on the ideas, start focusing on the innovation that you have within the company and within the city, and ultimately you'll get through. People are buying the ideas; they're not just buying the size of the company or the size of the agency that you're working at.
Thank you so much for coming out and chatting with me. This has been ThinkLA's Quick Takes with Aaron Walton, and we'll see you next week.